For All the Jural Assemblies Part 30 The Constitutions by Anna von Reitz. Just as it is a shock for many people to realize that there is an American government operating separate from the federal government it created, and that there were Confederate States in operation long before the Civil War, it will come as a shock to many to realize that there are in fact three constitutions, not one. Much of our education has been neglected so as to promote fraud against us and make us, and our entire country, easy marks. Let's notice a few general things that are important about the constitutions and the federal government they created. 1. The word federal can be used in several ways. It can be used as a descriptive adjective indicating a contractual relationship with our American Federation of States, the United States of America, the unincorporated version, or any other federated entity. It can also be applied to any part of a federated entity. This is important, because it allows a great deal of genial deception and not so genial deception, which we will discuss a bit more fully. 2. All federal entities referenced by the constitutions operate exclusively in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air and are fictions created by fictions. Via the constitutions, these commercial businesses contracted with our states to provide our states with 19 stipulated services, which according to the preamble of each constitution, include safeguarding our national trust. That is, there is no direct connection between any federal entity and our states, except that our states own and are supposed to operate the federal states of states, which have been officially missing in action since 1868, and all the branches of the federal government are under contract to provide our states with stipulated services. 3. There are three branches of the federal government established by the three constitutions, and they are all limited and related to each other within the context of their separate constitutional agreements with our states. The federal branch of the federal government is supposed to be run by the federal states of states, the original Confederate States, and their union of states doing business as the States of America operating in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air, commerce. B. The territorial branch of the federal government is run by the British government under authority delegated to King George III via the treaties leading up to and including the definitive Treaty of Peace, Paris, 1783, which ended the Revolutionary War. This territorial branch of the federal government is in charge of supervising British territorial citizens residing in our states of the Union for the purpose of providing us with stipulated governmental services, most especially, protection on the high seas and navigable inland waterways, naval defense and defense of our commercial fleets and international trade, and management of our territorial possessions, like the insular states of Puerto Rico, American Samoa, and Guam, and the territorial states arising under the Northwest Ordinance, which provides an orderly means for new territories of the United States to become states of the United States of America. C. The municipal branch of the federal government is supposed to be operated by members of the federal Congress, and the federal Congress is supposed to be composed of deputies from each state charged with running the federal state of state belonging to their state of the Union. The municipal branch of the federal government is given the responsibility to oversee the District of Columbia as a neutral meeting ground and to provide a local government for the municipality of Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, they were granted plenary power over the 10 miles square of the District of Columbia and the municipality of Washington, D.C. See Article 1 Section 8, Clause 17. And the municipal charter was granted by the Holy Roman Empire. So, contrary to what you learned in 8th grade, the branches of the federal government are not executive, legislative, and judicial, they are federal, territorial, and municipal. All three operate in the global municipal jurisdiction of the air and are operating as commercial business enterprises providing governmental services. All three have separate existences apart from their role as service providers under the constitutional agreements. All three are obligated by solemn treaties and commercial service agreements to provide good faith service to our states and people. All three operate exclusively via delegated powers. In order to provide us with the 19 stipulated services, our states delegated some of their powers to be exercised by the federal government, with the complete understanding that they retained all their other powers, Amendment X, and also with the understanding that if the federal service providers failed to hold up their end, the states and people doing business as the United States of America would have the right to sever the constitutional agreements, withdraw their delegated power, and find new means of providing the stipulated services and doing business in the commercial realm. This is precisely where we stand today, the urgent reason that the state Jural Assemblies must assemble, and the reason our birthright political status must be declared and asserted. Only the people who own the states that contracted with the commercial businesses operating the federal government are competent to a. Restore and reconstruct the federal states of states and b. enforce the constitutional agreements. As things now stand, those of us who woke up early in the morning are operating the holding company, the United States of America. We have fully informed the rest of the world that all bets are off and that we are only accepting services explicitly stipulated by the constitutions and only on a month-by-month quid pro quo basis while our states assemble. We have also informed all parties that incompetency in bankruptcy severs the presumed service contracts and related delegated authorities by operation of law, and that we acknowledge and accept the bankruptcy of the municipal United States and receive back all powers delegated to the municipal Congress. Once the people have been sufficiently educated and have reclaimed their birthright political status and taken up their lawful role as people and have assembled their state, a Continental Congress of the states and their lawful deputies will be called to confirm and reconsider all aspects of the history and the situation going forward. Meantime, be advised. 1. The actual federal constitution is called the Constitution for the United States of America, adopted in 1787. All members of the States of America organization are federal states of states, also called Confederate States, which have been mothballed since 1868. 2. The territorial constitution is called the Constitution of the United States of America, adopted in 1789. Notice the small "the." This version of United States of America is a British commercial corporation operated as a territorial democracy, which has been running the federal district government in the absence of our own federal states of states, not be confused with our American Federation of States doing business as the United States of America. 3. The municipal constitution is called the Constitution of the United States, adopted in 1790. Notice that there is no reference to "of America" involved. Notice also the small "the" as part of the United States. This municipal commercial corporation is not to be confused with the United States representing our republican states. In an ideal world, the states of the United States doing business as the United States of America own and operate the federal states of states, also called Confederate States, and the territories naturally belonging to the United States are administered by British territorial subcontractors prior to their inclusion as states in the United States of America Federation, and the only municipal government in this country is controlled and limited to stay and operate exclusively within the District of Columbia by the territorial government. You can now see how very far we have strayed and how potentially catastrophic this situation is without your prompt attention and participation in your own history and your own state Jural Assembly. At the very beginning we noted that because the word "federal" can be used in many contexts and can be applied to any part of any federation, it lends itself to various kinds and levels of deception. In the course of this 150-year debacle, both the territorial and municipal governments have represented themselves as the federal government, and they have been allowed to do so because they are part of the federal government. This then, has led everyone to assume that the actual federal government in sum total, including the federal branch of the federal government, was still in operation long after the Civil War ended and the federal states of states were due to be reconstructed. Also, other entities having commercial contracts with either the territorial or municipal governments, like the Federal Reserve, have made a claim by association to be federal entities, when in fact they have no relationship with the federal branch of the federal government, nor with our Federation of States doing business as the United States of America. The Federal Reserve is as Federal Express. So is the FBI. Please hit subscribe, like, share, embed, and get ready for many more Anna von Reitz videos.